Welcome back to the Instagram Live Lupit Pole series where we highlight different pole dancers around the world. And today we're going to be chatting to Joanna Littlewood, who is out in Australia. She's going to be joining us shortly. She's been a part of the pole dance community for many, many years and has many titles under her belt. So super excited to chat to her today, as she comes from a Pilates background as well and has her studio where she trains people in Pilates and pole. Also, she has a recent injury that she has been working with and rehabbing from. So I'm excited to chat to her about that today. I am Sergia Louise Anderson, the host of the Lupit Pole Instagram Live series. If you're at the beginning of your pole journey and you are looking for a way to get started, then go check out the link in my bio, and there are some free gifts for you there. As well as I just released my pole routine concept creator course for pole dancers of all levels who are looking to put together amazing routines every single time. So those goodies are over there in my bio, and I'm going to go ahead and bring on Joanna. So I believe it is quite early over there in Australia. Hi, Joanna. How are you?
Hello.
How's everything going?
Good. Yeah, it's 8 a.m. here, so I'm at the studio because I have a class at 9. So yeah.
Wonderful to have you. I mean, just give us a little rundown. Obviously, I mean, you've been a part of the pole community for a very long time, have many titles behind your belt, have your own studio out in Australia. Just give me a little rundown of, what it was for you getting into pole and what your personal experience has been over the years.
Well, I originally actually started dancing in the clubs, so that would have been in the late 1990s.
Amazing.
So that's a very, very long time ago. Probably half your viewers might not have even been born by then. So that was I think it was still very new in some of the clubs in Perth, especially. And there was a little bit of pole, but they were static 50 mil. I don't even know what they were. I'm guessing stainless or chrome, and that was it. So we sort of were a little bit self-taught. Although I had a friend who had trained at the Pink something in Paris, so she taught me a little bit way back then. Anyway, then I stopped and had babies, and started back when I was 49 after going and watching the Miss Pole Dance comp here, because one of the mums from my playgroup was in it. So I went along and watched.
Wow.
And I was like, I might like to do that. It's sort of like had blown up since I'd stopped dancing, retired, and it's sort of blown up. And I decided that maybe that was my way back into doing some dancing again.
Oh, that's so wonderful. When was that? So you were dancing in the 90s, and then at 49 years old, you're saying you came back at...
Sorry, 39. 39.
39. So,
39. Yeah. Sorry. So that was, I got to work it out, about 2008 or 2009.
Yeah, cool.
Does that sound right? I know, I'm lost track of the day. I don't know. Anyway, my oldest son was about 8. So, yeah. And so I started at Bobby's pole studio in Perth doing classes actually here. So, yeah. And then the year after that, I competed in the Miss Pole Dance competition.
A year.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the year after that, I won it. So the state heat of that. And then I sort of got the bug for competing and being back on stage again. And that was it pretty much.
Wow. When did you decide to open your studio then?
So after I competed in the first World Pole Sports Championships in London, the IPSF comp. So that was in I'm not very good with dates. I think that was in 2012. And then after I came back from that, I sort of decided to take a break from going to studios for a little bit and just trained at home. And my Pilates studio I'd been running for about 9 years by then, and I'd had a hall and I had classes at home, and my kids were getting a bit bigger, and I felt it was time to move out of home. So time to move out of home, get a proper studio. Also, I felt like having a proper Pilates studio, people would see it in a different light to just sort of hiring a hall. You know, that sort of, just that, you know, people perceive things differently. And so while I was opening my proper Pilates studio, I thought, why don't I add a pole studio? So that was it. So that was 10 years ago. So this is my 10-year anniversary for my pole studio.
Oh, that's wonderful. I actually, so funny because I started out similarly when I opened my pole studio, and I think it was in 2011 was when I opened the Virtude Los Angeles. I opened it and was teaching Pilates and yoga and like salsa and Latin hustle and like ballroom dance kind of stuff and pole like on the side. And little did I know that was just going to, the whole balance of that was just going to take off in a totally different direction.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, my Pilates has been running for 20 years this year and my pole for 10. And they're sort of like two separate studios, I guess. But we built, 4 years ago, we built a studio, so from scratch. And so I don't know if I can turn it around, but I don't know if you can see. This is my beautiful studio, and you can see I'm sitting on a LUPIT pole mat. Anyway, this is the small studio. So we have two pole studios, one big one with like 4-meter poles, and then it's 2 stories, and we've got reformer studio and a big sprung floor mat studio. So it's sort of just, it's got much bigger than I ever expected, and the pole with 2 studios, and it's just amazing. It's been like nothing I expected.
That's so cool. It's like build it and they will come. I can't see who is on here, but I did see a question come in earlier, and just in case they're still there, I wanted to answer it. The question was, hold on really quick. So I just want to make sure can an overweight person practice pole dance? And I thought that would be a really fun thing for both you and I to answer today. Would you like to start out with that one, Joanna?
Of course. I mean, what people think is overweight, I think is a little bit relative. I guess so many people come here and say, I'm overweight, and I wouldn't call them that. I mean, I don't know what you think, maybe a larger build, but that you don't think you can lift your body weight. But there's so much that you can do in pole. You don't have to climb the pole. You don't have to be able to lift your body weight to be able to love moving and to experience pole dancing. I mean, I just think that's the beauty of pole, is that I even find from beginners right through to advanced that no matter what we do, that everyone has their own style, and we might all be doing it slightly differently, but we can all experience I don't know, it's just magical, I think. And yes, I think anyone can do it. There are ways of creating that can suit everybody. Do you feel the same?
I do. I mean, like you were saying, it's like pole dance is not actually a style of dance, whereas we think of like ballet or salsa or something, all of these styles of dance. Pole is really the only thing that defines when we say pole dance, is the fact that we are using that vertical bar, right? So really, yes, absolutely, anybody can practice pole dance, because what you decide to do with it, again, like you were saying, Joanna, is like what you choose to do with that. Like, you are pole dancing. So whether you are walking around the pole, whether you're doing body waves, whether you're just doing booty pedals or some hamstring stretches, or whether you're going up the pole and doing, other things, and even that is accessible over time. You get to see students really, nerdy teachers like Joanna and I, we have really fun ways to give scaffolded training so that people can reach their goals. You know what I'm saying? So the answer to that is yeah,
absolutely. and I also think that so many of the things that people think that you have to be able to invert or get up the pole, so much of that can even be done from the floor. There's ways into a lot of those shapes if you want to do those aerial shapes from the floor. So they don't always have to be that you have to be able to invert, although obviously that's the goal for a lot of people, but that's not the be all and end all. And there's so much more. So, I mean, for me, I feel we've made some in-between levels. So for the people that have been stuck in the level where they're trying to invert and get to the next level, then that's a challenge that we can then create this level that they can still do those moves, but with other ways of getting into them. And I think also the things people worry, oh, I'm too heavy that I'm going to break the pole. And I think that's, you're not. They're pretty sturdy, especially if you get good quality poles. I mean, obviously you have to make sure that, there are some bad ones out there. But that's, I mean, as long as you go somewhere that has good professional poles, or if you're getting one for home, then I think then that's not something you have to worry about either.
Yeah, totally. Okay, good. I'm so glad. I hope that person is still here so they can get to get that answer. So I wanted
I'm seeing some of my students on there. Say hello, Rita.
Oh, good. Good morning, everyone. So I wanted to talk about some of maybe the obstacles that you have come up in your training over the years, like things that you bumped into that you felt that you can speak on and give some advice on. Oh, I think you might have your hand over the microphone. Give me that one more time. For some reason. Oh, there we go.
Is that it? Sorry, I had my little finger under the. Do you mean like physical obstacles or
both? Yeah, like when were there times that in your pole dance journey, basically starting in again at 39 years old after a break, after being with your family and focusing on family and then coming back into it, were there physical things, were there mental things to deal with, were there things along your competition road that you would say were kind of obstacles or injuries or anything? I know you're dealing with something recent.
Yeah, I think I would call them challenges rather than obstacles, maybe. I don't know. I don't think, because I'd always like to try and find a solution for things rather than going, that stops me from doing something. So I guess when I started at the beginning, I didn't think of the age thing, wasn't something I thought about then. I guess I had young kids and I still felt maybe younger. Probably more so now as we want to talk about the age thing. And I know I'm probably pretty good for 53, nearly 54.
Wow.
But there are things that I've noticed going through menopause the last few years, and that changes the way my body does a few things, and even things like thinness of your skin as you get older, all those sorts of things. And obviously as you get older, you have to, well, I think everyone should anyway, but you become more aware of how much more you have to warm up, and just recovery time can change. And plus I've ended up with arthritis in my big toe, which I've just had surgery on 5 weeks ago today. So I'm still in a shoe at the moment. So that would probably be my biggest obstacle I've had, actually, that I couldn't actually wear shoes by the end of last year. And yeah, it was causing me a bit of pain, but that's years of ballet wearing shoes. And apparently I had broken it sometime before because there was a bit of loose bone in there. So I don't know. But so that's probably been the thing that's slowed me down the most, having that. So as far as injuries, I've been, I don't know if I say lucky, but I haven't really had anything that stopped me. I have had a little bit of shoulder issues earlier on, like bursitis and a small tear in my rotator cuff, but I rehabbed that myself. And I think I've always, as soon as I know there's something going on in my body that might slow me down, then I will do really focused rehab or prehab, if you like, on that, so that it doesn't affect me. As far as the other things, I think, I don't know, mentally, probably it's the hardest thing for me. It's I know there's more older polers now, but I think I still see it as a quite young person's industry in the way that people look, maybe, and what people, how quickly people can progress at a younger age. In a sense, I don't know, that if mentally I find the aging thing maybe a little bit harder. You feel like maybe I'm past it, or maybe I don't know, maybe I'm not quite. I don't know. That mentally I find that hard sometimes. Yeah,
Yeah, tell
but
me
I
about.
just,
Go ahead.
but I just, I don't know, just I yeah, I don't know. I just, if I have a goal, I just go for it. So if there's anything in the way, then I'll work out why that's not happening, and I'll try and try and
Yeah,
achieve it, I guess. Yeah, and
you
I've done
go
it
for
with
it.
all
And
my comps.
you go for it. And you have amazing, and you also have amazing tools though. So let's talk about what Pilates and your knowledge in that world has done for you over your pole career.
Well, I mean, it's definitely kept me, like I say, mostly injury free, apart from unavoidable things. But it's because the thing with Pilates, and even if you want to do anything that's like that type of movement, is that it's focusing so much on the smaller stabilizing muscles and isolating how you're moving and how you engage properly. And so that focus movement then translates into not having to think about it so much on the pole, but also I feel it makes me able to pick those sorts of things up on other people when I'm teaching them. So that means that I can say you're not engaging that muscle, or you're not. What if you turn your arm a little that way so that we connect here? That they might not know what muscle they're engaging, but I can see those connections a little more. So I think it's made me a better teacher as well, and I'm just always constantly studying those sorts of things, because I feel like having that anatomical knowledge and the movement knowledge and how to apply that, I think that's really important for me as a dancer, but also as a teacher. And I think anyone that's teaching, if you can do some sort of study, or at least have understanding of that, I think it just takes everything to another level.
What is your, like, I know that you're recovering from an injury right now. What is you being both a pole instructor, running a studio, being a mom, teaching your Pilates clients, like what's your personal training schedule? Like, what do you do for your body that, like, like what does a week in your life look like as far as your personal training?
Well, my kids are not really kids anymore. They're like 18 and 21. So
Oh, that's wonderful.
they're young adults, and they drive, and they don't need me so much anymore. So I don't have to do school pickups or anything like that. And so that sort of takes a little bit of less time out of my day. So I teach Pilates nearly every morning. And some of those I join in a little, but I mean, obviously it's a little bit different teaching. And I try and do a little bit of that myself each day. And then in between morning classes and evening classes, normally I would try and fit in some training time for myself as well. But obviously class prep comes first, and then training. So if I am training for a competition, that sort of takes a little bit of priority. So I try and fit every single moment that I possibly could into like training or creating, even if that's like not doing the pole parts of it. But yeah, I mean, I pretty much don't stop. So I don't,
Yeah.
I don't really have much downtime. I'm finding this not being able to train at the moment a little bit frustrating for myself. But that's okay. I filled it with other things. I'm doing more courses myself at the
There you
moment. I'm
go.
doing extra study.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking on
So
that, what would you say, being right in the thick of it with your, recovering from your injury right now, what kind of advice would you give someone that has just injured themselves and they are in a recovery, like season as
yeah.
well?
So I mean, for me, I mean, obviously this was planned, planned recovery. And hi, Aga. I just saw one of my students.
And
Thank
also,
you.
I don't know if you saw Joanna, there is another one of your students that says, Joanna, you were an amazing teacher, who
Yeah,
is
that's
saying hello.
Aga. That's Aga.
Oh, cool.
um, so I think what you have to remember is that we have a whole body. And I think sometimes people think, oh, I've injured something, I have to totally stop. And what you have to remember is that the rest of your body is still functioning and there's still so much you can do. And even if that is meditation or breathing or just really basic core work, or if you can't use your legs, you can use your arms, or I don't know. I think there's always something you can do to keep your body moving. So I was able to come back and teach 20 hours the first week I went back after 3 weeks of surgery, even though I couldn't step on this foot because I had been doing other things to keep my body, I guess, connected. So I think finding things that you can do rather than thinking what you can't do. And I guess that's the same with like pole in general. Like just because you can't do that doesn't mean you can't do that.
Yeah.
Back to the
Awesome.
weight thing or the injury thing. And but I think also the rehab. I mean, I've been doing exercises to recover. So it's important to do what you need to do to recover, the rehab you need to do, but don't forget the rest of your body. I think that's
Yes.
it.
Yeah, exactly. If you're down because of a foot, what else? You've got a whole other body that would that would love your attention.
Yeah, and I think nutrition as well is like really huge in recovery. But anyway, but definitely, um, you know, if you've got, I don't know, something going a tear or anything, and you do have to not use that. And obviously, you have to be smart around it. So, I mean, I know my body pretty well, and I know I can do things and not land or whatever on that foot. So obviously, I know I can work around that. But nutrition, what does your body need to um, nourish generally, but also maybe help in a recovery? So yeah, so I'm taking like some extra things. Someone told me to take silica type things, which is supposed to help with bone repair. And I'm just, just as many things as I can and eating well and lots of water, important all the time. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. If there are people here and virtually all over the world who would love to work with you or love your expertise, what kind of offerings do you have for them? What would be the best place to find, where would be the best place to find you, and how could they
Well,
train with you?
obviously, yeah. Well, obviously, I'm in Perth at Core Fusion is my studio, but I do run Zoom privates. I've worked with people. Probably I've done France, Germany, Italy, America, and Queensland, mostly, and Sydney over Eastern Coast. So Zoom classes or Zoom privates I can do, but also I wrote a teacher training course. So I have, rather than running that as a course at the moment, I've actually put that into a manual. So I'm actually selling just the whole teacher training course manual, and that's got, I don't know, it's just got everything I know in there. It's got teaching tips, it's got anatomy, it's got how to deal with injuries, it's got, I don't know, there's a lot in there. So I've created that manual and I've just put that out there now to buy, that people can buy and learn how I teach, I guess. Also, I teach on Polesphere. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah.
Polesphere is an online tutorial platform. So all the links for that are in my bio. There's like a link tree with all the links to all of those things as well. So at the studio, Zoom online, Polesphere, which is amazing because it's got people like Lisa D, Carly Hunter, Miss Philly,
So many all stars.
like the most amazing Australian pole teachers ever. So I'm like so honoured to be part of that. Megan Bly's, like I'm trying to think else on there, Tammy. Yeah, so it's like and Andrea James Louis, it's like an amazing teaching team. So that's great. That's online tutorials as well. Yeah, so all the links to those are in my bio as
Awesome.
well. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for chatting with us today. Everyone, go check out Joanna, and also sending you all the good vibes for your healing journey.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Sergia. Great to chat.
Great to chat, Joanna. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.